Hello and welcome to another video review. This is The White Chamber for PC. This is a point-and-click adventure game that was actually originally designed as a university project, and then they decided to release it as a free full game under the name Studio Trophus in 2005. And that was the age of the really big mainstream developers. So having something like this, where it was a small team of basically students who actually made this game, and have it to reach a surprising amount of acclaim and fame, basically. I know the first thing I remember seeing about it was in a PC Gamer magazine at one point. They actually mentioned it. And I'm like, hey, that looks cool. I might want to check that out. And this is one of the first real indie games that really got successful. That said, it was a freeware download. I will have the link in the video description box for that, by the way. But suffice to say, it's a pretty big feat for an indie developer consisting of only a few people that made this thing in university to make something that got such wide coverage as this. Now, of course, the presentation does speak very much that this is an indie game, and it's very much an amateur game. It was actually originally released without animated sections and without voice acting, so that's kind of interesting. But they did include those later on, and that's the version you're seeing here, actually. But the visuals themselves are actually an anime art style, which is really unusual for a Western developer. These guys are from Sheffield, which is in the UK. There's also was a big hit by Bungie that was Oni, and that was using an anime art style. It was very Ghost in the Shell-like. So it can happen, and it does usually make a game very distinct if you're a Western audience. And that's exactly what the White Chamber's visuals do for it here. It does look very unique among adventure games, and among just all sorts of different things as well. That said, I don't like the perspective. Just the animations, like for the character and such, don't match the perspective of the backgrounds. It's just kind of awkward because there's such a stark contrast between your character, which looks very flat, whereas the environment looks more angled. So it just looks really odd to me. As for the sound design, very much an amateur game. The voice acting basically sounds like someone reading a script, not really getting into it. Not that bad, but it works. Music's actually pretty decent. Definitely has that horror feel. It's just not very memorable, so not really much to say about that. And the sound effects themselves basically do their job, and that's about it. So, presentation overall, very much an indie game, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But what really matter are story and gameplay. Now, the story starts off with you playing as this girl who awakens in a coffin, of all things. And you come to find out that you're on a space station. And you have no idea who you are, how you got there, what you're doing there, etc., etc., so on and so forth. So you're basically going through this entire game with amnesia, rediscovering what's happened on this space station, which seems really decaying. It's really grim. It's really rotting, and there's a lot of blood everywhere, and it's like, what happened here? So you're on this journey of discovery throughout the entire game. And it does a pretty good job of making that actually pop out and make it memorable in some regards. That said, the storyline itself is actually really short, and since it is an adventure game, it is extremely story-based. I breezed through this thing in about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, the first time I played it. There are multiple endings in the game, though, so you can actually go back and play through again for a little bit of added replay value. The problem with that is, it's a really short game once you know what you're doing. Once you've finished all of the puzzles once, you know how to finish them again. And so you can breeze through this thing in like 30 minutes. It's really short. But it is a university project. It's not really meant to be this long blockbuster game. I understand that. But that said, it doesn't really help the fact that the puzzles in this game aren't particularly difficult. Usually the solutions are pretty obvious. Sometimes not so much, but they didn't really do a good job of challenging the player in that particular regard. So the gameplay is kind of weak as a result. That said, the storyline does kind of make up for it. It is an interesting storyline. It does actually keep you going. Those twists will help you keep going. And if you like horror as a genre, then you'll probably find this one pretty decent. I didn't find it particularly scary, but it was this kind of cool, just kind of playing with your head the entire time kind of game. It wasn't anywhere near to the level of something like, say, Amnesia: The Dark Descent, of course. But it does kind of toy with you just a little bit, just enough to spice things up. So overall, I'd say The White Chamber is a pretty good game just to look at and see, hey, the indie developers are capable of doing this sort of thing, and there's a place where this could actually go and become even better. But as a game itself, The White Chamber kind of falls flat. But at the same time, I still kind of enjoy it. So overall, I'd give it a 3 out of 5. Thanks for watching.